Ladies and gentlemen, the S&P 500 is at all-time highs. This is kind of crazy. I did not know Nvidia would spike as much as it did today, or AMD would spike as much as it did today. But what you are looking at is the S&P 500 at $512. In the past week, it's up about 1%. Past month, it's up 5%. Past 3 months, it's up 12%. Year to date, it is up 8.63%. I mean, this right here is just, it's not easy to move one of these indices up 1 or 2% on the day, especially on a Friday, a day where most people are, selling because of what's potentially going to happen on the weekend. But there you go. S&P 500 at 512. We're here for the market close. And we've got Bitcoin doing great. We've got Robinhood that had a pretty good day. A bunch of stocks hit their all-time highs today, or at 52-week highs. Tesla at 202. Nvidia up 3.74% at 820. Nvidia or SMCI at 900. Just so much stuff is happening today in the broader markets. And after the bell, we will know if Palantir made the rebounds for the S&P 500. I believe it's happening at 4 o'clock. If I'm not wrong, it should happen. We should get to know. The S&P 150 was announced today that's not going to be rebalanced. So by 4 p.m., I don't think it's later than that. And if it is, then I guess we're just going to have to wait. But by 4 p.m., we should probably know if that's happening. And then we'll see what happens. Thank you, everybody for being here. Let's get into the market close. Alexander, Eeyore was right. Joshua, Midwest, Abdo, Richard, Johnny Boy, Jagger Float. ET says, so nice of this venture capitalist to speak with us about the markets every day. ET, thank you for being here. FF, Chana, Queso, Yellowfin. Chana says, I figure Amit's mom knows he's not selling weed out of her closet anymore because he's doing it from his own closet. I never sold weed, guys. I've never sold weed, even though my mom thought I was selling weed in college. But I'm not selling weed. Matt, Gig, Ashwin, Robert, Ariel, Leslie Clark, Sock'em Parade. All right. Let's get into it. So, first of all, S&P 500, I do think it's going to happen at 4 p.m. Now, I'm trying to get the exact information. I don't officially know. Right now, what we're looking at on Palantir is 2484. Touched 2569 today. Right now, here at 2484, down about 1%. We should get it pretty soon. If I'm not wrong, the S&P inclusion thing should happen at 4 p.m. If we have to wait for it, then I guess we have to wait. But from what I'm looking at, after the market close, that's when it is announced. And then we should know. And if we don't, then I guess we have to wait. But it should be happening. Last time we got the rebalance was in December. And Uber joined, Lululemon joined, and the what's the other company that left? SolarEdge left. So we should know pretty soon if it pops up. And then when we know, it'll be really cool to see if we can actually get in. CrowdStrike is down. Zscaler is down 10%. Not the worst earnings, but they're down. Just didn't live up to the hype, at least what the market wanted. Tesla 203, SMCI 904, AMD 201. AMD's up another 5% today. AMD was up 10% yesterday. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I asked everyone on Twitter, what do you think? Why is it up? And everyone was like, oh, well, they have additional backlog because Nvidia is not able to fulfill all the demand. One, which isn't the best argument to me, but one of the arguments that people made was that Dell on their earnings call, by the way, Meta at 502, Meta all-time high officially as well, just insane. Dell said, Dell's up 30% today. Dell said that they found increased improvement in operational efficiencies using AMD's chips. So just as much as they had from Nvidia's chips. So I think that also got the market excited about the potential of Nvidia in the context of Dell. And so there you go. Dell may be helping out in this broader semiconductor race for all these people being excited. Matt says, can you buy one Bitcoin so it breaks out? Where is Bitcoin right now? Bitcoin's at 62,692. So it's waiting to get to, what is it waiting to get to? It's waiting to get to 63. And I think over the weekend, if there's, enough demand side coming in, then we will potentially see that. Now, one of the things that's really exciting about Bitcoin, and let me share this stat with you guys right now, not only did BlackRock's ETF officially pass $10 billion in assets, which is incredible, but on top of that, you've got 4% of ETFs ever who have reached $10 billion. So BlackRock is part of it. It also happened in the fastest amount of time, 37 trading days to get the 10 billion. That type of demand it is just unreasonable. That type of demand is just like, wow. People remember, BlackRock's not buying it because they're just bored. They're buying it because they have inflows. If they don't have the inflows, they don't get to buy, right? That's the money they use to buy the Bitcoin. So there has to be demand. Now, where is that demand coming from? It's coming from pension funds. It's coming from institutional investors. It's coming from people that are just allocating a tiny portion of a multi-$100 billion portfolio that's, part of people's 401ks, whatever it may be, into that one ETF to have some exposure. It's almost like ARK. A lot of funds have exposure to ARK, not because they love Cathie Wood, but like if Cathie's right about her sort of growth innovation thesis, they should have some exposure to the ARK ETF. And that's how a lot of the ETFs pick up management fees, but they also pick up a ton of inflows. That's what's happening on a domestic scale with the 12 ETFs in the United States, and eventually on a global scale with all these other investors across the world that want to do the same thing that BlackRock and ARK and Fidelity are doing in the United States for the rest of the world. So it's going to be really exciting to see how that kind of plays out. Dogecoin is having a hell of a day as well. Dogecoin is at 13 cents. It's up 12% on the day, and it's up for the week 60%. So we all could have just bought some fucking Doge, and we would have been up 60%. So that's happening as well. Ethereum 3,400 right now, and obviously Bitcoin at 62,600. Now there is a coin that you guys probably don't know about. I talk about it a little bit on the Market Open. There is a coin called Dog with Hat. Dog with Hat. Okay, literally the ticker symbol is WIF. You can't even buy it on Coinbase. Like it's one of those things you have to like know how to do on crypto. It's not one of those easy things you can buy. It's not even listed, is what I'm trying to say, on major exchanges. Listen to this. The market cap went from 100,000 in November of this coin, 100,000 to 1 billion today. This coin is now up. Get this. This coin is now up 200%, 253% this week. Like, this is the type of stuff that's happening right now in the market. We are seeing massive momentum come from all these different angles. And what it really means to me is that risk is back on. People are excited. People are coming into the market. If an altcoin like this, that's not even available on Coinbase, like if you go to Coinbase right now and type in WIF, it will say we do not support this asset. If that's able to go to 100K or 100K to $1 billion, SoFi right now at $9, then you got to imagine that some of the other assets that are out there, like the Bitcoins, are just getting started and people have an appetite. Robinhood is indeed listing this, but it's being listed on the EU. It's not being listed in the United States because the SEC is very basically like scared of all these alternative coins, whereas the EU, ironically, the EU is way more liberal around just like listing assets than the SEC in the United States. That's why Solana is not on Robinhood. If Solana was on Robinhood, the crypto revenue would have exploded over the past couple of months, but we had to delist it because of the SEC. So it is on Coinbase, and in the EU, Solana is there. So if people use it in the EU, they will have access to it as well. So Matt says, as a venture capitalist myself, I invested in Dogcoin. It's insane, dude. 100K to $1 billion. Like, have you heard that before? 100K to $1 billion. What is that even? What return is that? Okay, let's ask Siri. What's 1 billion divided by 100,000? 10,000x. That's a 10,000x. That's a 10,000x, dude. Like that's insane. You could put $1 in that coin, you would be up $10,000. So I mean, this is the type of market that we're having right now, and as a result, people are buying to continue to gain exposure to the assets. Look at all the companies that hit 52-week highs today: Meta, Amazon, AMD, Netflix, TSM, Airbnb, Palantir, 2569. Caterpillar, Salesforce, American Express, Home Depot, Wells Fargo, Lowe's, Robinhood, ASML, Accenture, Autodesk, Abercrombie and Fitch, which, by the way, all of us missed out on this one. These guys had their operating margins, their operating income margins increase 8x over the past year. The stock went from like 16 to 138. Just didn't look at Abercrombie and Fitch. Celsius obviously has had a hell of a run. DoorDash. I mean, all these companies, Spotify, MicroStrategy, they all just did amazing. And it seems like the market is back to being excited about these companies. S&P at all-time high. That's not easy to do. And the market just doesn't seem the reason to necessarily sell. But can you sell it? Yeah, you can sell it, but you have to go through like exchanges like I think Radian and Jupiter. Those are the exchanges. I'm not the most familiar with them, but you can't just do it on Robinhood and Coinbase in the United States. Like, think about that. If an asset can somehow go 10,000x and it's not even available to retail, imagine what's going to happen to the assets that are available to retail. Not saying they're going to go 10,000x, but they are going to get more exposure. And if they're going to get more exposure, then this is just getting started. I mean, this is not ending anytime soon. This is happening right now. And if this is happening, it's going to be interesting to see kind of how this all plays out and where it ultimately goes. Wish you all went into Dell. Yeah. Imagine going all in on. Imagine investing in Dell yesterday, one of the most boring companies ever, and then you invest in Dell, and the freaking thing goes up 30%. Like, that doesn't happen, to most of these companies, but it happened here. Is there news about the Palantir S&P inclusion? We should have news at the bell. Don't be mad if we don't have news, because this is one of those things where I'm not an expert on if we actually get this news or not. I am optimistic we will get this news, but I don't know if we will get this news. So, I mean, hopefully we get this news, but if we don't, it is what it is. But I think there is a shot we can, potentially get this news. And if it happens, then great. If it doesn't happen, then, it is what it is. But it'll be interesting to see if it actually happens. So Mr. Seymour Duck says, my vote is that the TDD will be in S&P 500 trade desk. Yeah, I think that could happen as well. Meet Kevin called the Dell move after Nvidia mentioned them. Wow, interesting. So people were paying attention to Dell. Meet Kevin called that. That means he actually was interested in that. Let's see. Is Snow Abide 87? No. 187. I'm not a fan of Snowflake. By the way, Bitcoin right here, 63,000. Look at that, right before the market close. Look, I think Snowflake's going to get eaten up. I think the dip's going to get eaten up. It's just a question of, do you want to hold this thing for the long term? I mean, the fact that it's red on one of the most green days in the market is very interesting, especially after it already got beaten up. The fact that it's still down says something. PayPal's even up about 0.36%. But if you're not planning to hold Snowflake for a long time, I don't think you should just get in because you think it's going to get eaten up. There really needs to be a moat. And I think we saw when the CEO left, there's not a moat. Like, there's just not a significant moat. I saw a great graphic on Snowflake today as well. Let me see if I can find it, dude. It was a really good graphic about, oh, by the way, Dogecoin is at 14 cents now. Dogecoin just got the notification. A good graphic about the declining growth in Snowflake. And as a result of that, the CEO maybe realizing, well, maybe if that growth is that bad, I can't really fix the growth. And that's why he left. That could be a reason. That could be a reason he just didn't want to be part of it anymore. And again, the reason there's not that much growth, maybe they're sandbagging, maybe they're not, is because of the product. Is there a real transformational efficiency to the product that can scale it to become a couple $100 billion worth? The product actually has to be not just a basic lake house. That's already very common. It's been common for 10 years now. It needs to have more analytical features, reading AI. And if it doesn't do that, it's going to be hard to imagine that actually working. Fisker is down 33%. They're at 48 cents. So if anyone had shorts on Fisker, congrats. Beyond Meat is down 8%. That makes sense. It was up basically 40% this week. Robinhood, nice finish to the close. $16.58 right now, up 1.66% on the hood. Let's see if it continues to do what it needs to do. SMH, wow, up 4%. We should have bought the ETF, guys. I said we needed to buy this ETF. We didn't buy the ETF. And it seems like this thing's just not going to get cheaper, dude. This thing's not slowing down. SMH, one of the core ETFs that tracks all these semiconductor companies, that thing's not stopping. Look at Bitcoin go. 63,000. Look at that. Right at the close, Bitcoin saying, you know what? We're going to keep going. It's breaking out a little bit. It's breaking out just a little bit. And now you've got Bitcoin here at 63. Coinbase 205, Surfer Mobility, that's up about 7%. MicroStrategy, wow, up 5.38%. Where are the miners today? I think the miners actually had a good day. Miners right now, yeah, look at that. Look at all these crypto stocks. CleanSpark 6%, Coinbase 1%, Marathon up 4% after being down 16%, Ride up 2%, Hut 8 Mining up 5%, MicroStrategy up 5%, Robinhood up 1.72%, Bitfarms up 2.8%. All of them getting a lift off of Bitcoin breaking out and beginning to run. So there we go. Dougie Fresh 69 says, I just ended my best month, 19% for February. Absolutely amazing. Congratulations to you. That is incredible. That is great, man. It's been a hell of a month, and now we just got to see if the momentum continues. But so far, it does not seem like the market wants to stop. And so that's what we're seeing right now. All right, folks, it is Friday, March 1st, 4 p.m. The stock market is officially closed. There we go. We're done for the week. Markets now closed. And it's time to see how the market closed and if Palantir gets into the S&P 500. So let's read some of these stocks, and then we'll try to get some Palantir updates. S&P ends at an all-time high, 512, up 1%. SoFi, $9 or $8.99, ends up 0.11%. I was surprised they weren't down more because of that New York Community Bank news that came out that was really not the best. Yeah, these guys down 25% on the day. So messed with banks a little bit, but the broader market still was able to rally. Apple, 179.63. When's the last time you saw Apple below 180? It's been a while. So now Apple closing at 179. Enphase up about 2%. Robinhood ending the day 1658, 1655 after hours. Microsoft 415.50, up 0.45%. Celsius down below 80, but it got to 80 today. It got to 85 today, actually. 79.27 on the day. IWM was up 1%. Another 1% day for IWM. It was up yesterday from 204 to 205. So nice to see IWM starting to pick up some momentum. TFC, Regional Bank, it was up 35.26. Bitcoin 62.7. So at 63.2, like 5 minutes ago, you guys saw this thing at 63,256. It got beaten down to 62,750. There is a lot of resistance at 63.2, or really that 63.5, 64 range. So if we try to break through that again, you're going to need some more buyers to come in and not have too many sellers there. So at 63, that seems to be a little bit hard in the context of resistance. Coinbase at 205, MicroStrategy at 1,079, Google 138. Google was down for the day, down 1.2%. Verizon $40, Uber 81, Mag 7 for the day. Pretty much all green except Google. Even Tesla was green for the day. Yeah, everything was green except Apple and Google. Apple and Google had a tough day. And then Meta, I mean, look, congrats to Meta shareholders. 502 is just incredible. 502 on Meta is just incredible. Okay, so I'm trying to find this S&P news. Let me see if let me go to my sources and see if I can get it. If not, then it might just take a little bit of time to get here. One thing that's really interesting that let me show you guys while I'm looking for this is the options chain on Palantir. It kind of exploded 2 hours ago, and it exploded to the upside on calls that were significantly out of the money. So if you look at this right here, a lot of these calls at 25, 26 for March started exploding in terms of volume. And the reason for that, you see all these charts that are going up, is because maybe people were taking a bet that this S&P 500 news was going to be leading to, Palantir getting it in, and that would lead to a ton of inflows coming in as well for the company. So I'm trying to see where the news is. If anyone has the news, let me know. If you can find it, if anyone sees it in with yourself. But I personally do not see the news here yet. But obviously, as you can see, right, that's why it's moving up. Tel 69, thank you for the €1 or pound super chat. Thank you so much for that. If Palantir joins the S&P, I'm going to start twerking. I might have to start twerking. I might have to go strongman and just start taking the shirt off and doing the live streams now. If that's what happens now. But let's see, dude. I think there's a shot. I just think they have the lowest institutional float out of everybody that's in the S&P 500. They would have the lowest institutional flow, and that's what's, I think, going to make the committee a little bit scared about deciding if Palantir makes the S&P. Right now, after hours, Palantir did we close at 24.93? Yeah, I'm pulling up the S&P 500 official website right now and seeing if we can get there. No news net from MarketWatch. I'm looking at Yahoo. I'm looking at the official website. We saw some other indices didn't have any rebalances today. Nothing yet. Oh, okay. So we got some news, but this news, today's February 29th. Today's March 1st. Okay, so we got. This is not Palantir news, but we do have some news on different things that were coming in. So you've got Sprinkler set to join S&P Small Cap 600. So that's an update. This was February 28th. Okay, so if we do get the news update, guys, it would be here. I'm going to put this in the chat. If we do get the news today, it's going to be in this link. This right here. As soon as this refreshes, this will let you know. Elf Beauty is set to join the S&P Mid Cap 400. Peabody Energy joined S&P Small Cap 600. This was January 17th. So that means we will know on this website if we get in later today, hopefully soon. It might take a while for this to update, but we should know. So this is the website you want to keep your eyes on, and I'll be keeping my eyes on it to see if we kind of get in. A bullish take on the low institutional float is that Palantir on S&P inclusion will drive that up over time, which in turn drives up the price. I agree. If there's a low institutional float, for example, Snowflake at 65, Palantir at 41, then when they get into the S&P, people are going to need to have exposure. So they're obviously going to start buying. They're going to start buying the stock, right, to get exposure to the company. The problem is if the committee feels that's a reason it's going to be more volatile, if it doesn't go from like 40 to 60%, which it's not going to be easy to go up 20% in institutional ownership, then that might be a reason why they don't let them in the first place. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, but I think both ways can happen. And, we'll see how it keeps going. Let's listen to Bitcoin ETF update. This is one of the Riot CEOs, one of the Bitcoin miners, talking about the ETF, and I'll keep looking for if that Palantir news comes out anytime soon. Here we go.
Bring in Jason Less. He's the CEO of Riot Platforms, which owns a larger scale Bitcoin mining facility in Rockdale, Texas, among other assets. Jason, thank you very much for being here. Mackenzie just laid out an interesting kind of dynamic there with regard to the current state with regulators versus the community in cryptocurrency. Do you feel as though the prices of Bitcoin and others are now attractive enough where folks like you and everybody else will feel more comfortable with broader adoption?
Yeah, I think the introduction of the ETF is huge for the credibility of Bitcoin. It brings a on-ramp that brings more money into the space that might have been sidelined at the time. And it is a positive signal from regulators. I think there's more work to be done. I think there are a number of bills in Congress that establish a market structure that I think better lay out the rules of the road that could bring even more investor comfort and interest. So that's something that we're very interested in and we're supportive of to add further clarity to the space.
Do you feel as though the Bitcoin ETFs out there have acted as a net positive force, or are they competing with the likes of Bitcoin itself, the underlying? And then by extension, what does that do for the economics of mining operations like yours?
I think the Bitcoin ETFs have been super positive for the Bitcoin mining space, short-term volatility notwithstanding. The fact is that this tool is bringing more money into Bitcoin, and that is driving the price up. That is the thing that we mine. That is the commodity we are focused on. So that's always great for us. The fact is, in the 7 weeks since the ETF has been approved, these ETFs have bought up 350,000 in Bitcoin. And right now, we're only mining the network as a whole only releases 900 new Bitcoin per day. That's getting cut in half in 450 Bitcoin per day in April of this year. So supply is becoming constrained, new supply is becoming constrained, and more interest and money is going into the market. That's great for us. As far as our stocks go, we have seen an
Palantir has not been included. Palantir has not been included. That is what I'm getting on Twitter. I'm getting that news on Twitter right now. I will confirm it in a second, but I think I'm seeing Palantir not included on Twitter. That's what I'm looking at. I don't have the official link. I'm seeing a bunch of people say it though, so that's why I'm saying that. But don't believe it yet, because that's what I'm seeing. But there's no official news on it yet. Buck, I know you saw it in the chat. If you have a link, let me know to the tweet. I'm seeing the same tweets, but I don't know where they got the source from. So if they don't have a source, then we don't have to necessarily believe it yet. Yeah, I don't have the source yet either. Why are people tweeting it if they don't have the source, dude? Why is that just like that's not it, you guys are seeing is the stock right now, where's Palantir? It's 24.92. It's barely touching anything after hours. It hasn't been released. Yeah. I don't know why people are tweeting this stuff, dude. This is people just tweet anything. Yeah, okay. So the tweets are saying it's not included, but it seems like these tweets are just random people saying random things. So that's not there. Is there any reason to why it's not included? Well, we don't know yet. People are trolling. Yeah. Paid by Bear Cave. That's what's happening. Paid by Bear Cave. I think they have been included. See, no one knows. The problem is, and the website's not updating. So until the website updates, we're not going to know. We might not know until later tonight, quite frankly. So it might take some time, guys. If you're here just for that news, I don't want to keep you here just for the news. So if you're here for the S&P news, I'll be live for a bit, but if we don't get the news, I don't want to keep you here. So please don't stay here just for that news, because if not, yeah, based on the other releases, it looks like 5:15 as well. Look, that's what I think. So if you guys want to leave and come back at 5:15, that's fine, or stay here till 5:15. But you look at this. This one came out at 5:15 last time. This one came out at 5:15 last time. Yeah, it's 5:15. Wow, I wish I saw that yesterday. I would have officially known it's at 5:15. All of these new ones are 5:15, 5:15, 5:15. All right, so folks, we've got an hour and 5 minutes until we know. Teacher Rand says, all right, I'm going to sleep. We got an hour and 5 minutes to figure out 5 p.m. 5:15 Eastern Standard. Yes. So if you're not here, that's okay. You'll find out in an hour. If you want to chill with me for an hour, we'll talk about everything else going in the markets. Then we'll know at 5:15. I'm not expecting it this round. I would be happy and surprised. I guess we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. I think 5:15 is possible, but we will officially see. Okay, so until then, a bunch of different things to talk about. I did have a new position. I want to let you guys know one of the new positions I made in the broader equity market. So today, if you guys didn't make the morning open, I did announce in a private company called Figure.ai. Really exciting announcement. Had my friend Derek on with the live stream. He is the person who got me into this deal, got me an allocation into their Series B financing. So super, super cool stuff. And a big thank you to Derek for hopping on the stream and explaining this to us. And it was fun to kind of do it together with a community. Now, I did make another play, and I haven't talked about it. I made this play on Friday, quite frankly, and I went pretty heavy into this play. This play might go bad. Do not follow me into this play, but I made the play because I saw what was happening and I was like, fuck it. I feel like this is going to happen. And last Friday, I put in about 15 grand into this play. All right. So what's the play? Well, it's a play that's up 43% in a week. And it's what we would call a leveraged play in the derivatives markets, or also known as options. Okay, so basically, I saw what was happening with Robinhood, and I got a bit aggressive. And as a result of that, I got some new spreads. Okay, so you guys know the main position is $15, $20, January 2026. I got a little bit, I saw what was happening. It was pretty obvious what's happening. We got it right before Bitcoin pumped into that $60,000 range. And so we got $22, $25 spreads for Jan 2025. And we got these bad boys up about $7,000. So look, before you say anything, okay, it was pretty obvious that this was going to happen. And I saw the spreads and I was like, well, I'm going to take advantage of this because these things are really cheap. Guys, we got them at 36 cents. We got these fuckers at 36 cents. Now they're 53 cents. Today they hit a high of 70 cents at one point. And so we got in. Now, why did I do this? Here's what I'm learning about in the options derivatives market. Robinhood only had strikes from 5, 10, 15, 20 to 25. Matt says my guy didn't want to say anything until it was up 40%. I mean, you're not wrong, dude. I was like, fuck, if this goes the wrong way, let's just not say anything. No, in reality, I was just like, let's actually give this some time because it's a strike that's a little bit more out of the money. But at $14, I was like, wait a second, this thing's gonna work. Like, there's no way this thing's I see what's happening here. I'm very bullish on it. Let's leverage up a little bit here. And so it was pretty obvious to me. And then I didn't expect it to go up 40%. I was going to say this Friday anyway. Even if it was up 10%, I would have showed you guys. But 40% I didn't expect. But then Robinhood broke out to 16.50, and so that's what we're seeing right now. Now, why did I make this play? This was pretty simple. When option chains are created, there's always new strikes created. So right now, $30 strikes on Robinhood for 2025 and 2026 are open. They weren't open 2 weeks ago. But because there's so much demand and the stock has gone up, like Nvidia option chains have, I don't think 1200s were available for a while. And then the stock goes to 800 and the market makers are like, all right, well, people want to keep investing. Let's open up some new chains. The $22 chain for 2025 opened last Friday. And I clicked on it and the volume was like nothing. There was barely any volume there, but I knew the volume's going to come. And so the volume's going to come and eventually this is going to get some momentum behind it. But right now there's no volume. No one's buying the $22 strike, but people are going to, have optionality. They're not going to want to buy the $20 strike, the $25 strike. They're going to want to get some different options. And the $22 strike was incredibly mispriced. And so when I realized the $22 strike was incredibly mispriced, I was like, wait a second, this is mispricing in the market. It's a leap. It's how many months? It's 10 months from now, right? January, or 9 months from now. So I'm like, okay, so it's way in the future. It's expiring at a $22 strike and the stock's at 14. If I can make a spread by buying the 22 and selling the 25 on top of it, I might be able to get something pretty attractive. And what I got was I actually got it at 33 cents and then I averaged up at 36 cents. I got a 36 cent spread. So what does that mean? What that means right now is I paid 36 cents for this option. One option is 100 contracts. 36 cents per contract means $36. So I got it when it was at like, what, $14? So yeah, basically, right. You see that at 35 cents, that's what it would be worth. Right now, the thing's at $16.50 and it's gone up to 52 cents, 53 cents. If Robinhood can, I believe, get to 25 by the end of the year, this thing's going to, what's the max profit right here? Let me make this 30 so I can just easier to see. This thing is going to get to a max profit of, you guys can see this? Yeah. Okay, here we go. Of about 113. So basically 100 grand if it happens. What I mean is that means it's going to go up, close to 700% if Robinhood gets to 25 by January 2025. Now, will that happen? I have no clue, but I started realizing, wait a second, I don't have a ton of Bitcoin. I want to have exposure to this asset. One of the best ways to have exposure is to have exposure through the casino that allows people to bet on these assets. And that casino is, I think, going to produce really good results. So that's what I did. That's the play we made. It is official. We are leveraged up the ass on Robinhood right now, and we're either going to go down with the ship or it's going to keep going up. But it was a good move at 14, in my opinion, because, it was pretty obvious what was happening. Now, when it went to 14, I started getting kind of scared that, okay, it's run up too quick. But once I started seeing what Bitcoin was doing, I was like, wait a second. No, it hasn't. Like, if we look at fucking Coinbase stock is up 300% in the past year, and it's 600% from the lows. And the reason that happened is because crypto is not like regular stocks. Crypto fucking moves, right? Crypto's at a whole different level. So as you can see right here, year to date, it's up 31%. Over the past year, it's up 23%. And it was stuck at $30 for a very long time. I think Robinhood can do the same thing. And that's personally what I believe. It's up 72% in the past year. Year to date, it's up 34%. I think it has a lot of room to run. That is my personal opinion. I could be completely wrong about that. And I could pay for that with my leveraged bets on it. But now for me to be underwater on those options, guys, Robinhood would have to fall to about $14. And I don't really know if that happens given the catalyst we're seeing. And so as a result of that, I think 25 is on the table. And those are the spreads that I decided to do. The S&P rebounces at 515 for those that are joining. 515, we will know. I'm sorry to keep you guys waiting, but at 515, we will officially know. Brian says, I bought 2026 $10, $15 spread, sold 8 puts for 43 cents, up 217, 19%. There you go. There you go. To me, this was a very strategic thing. To me, this was not like this wasn't even risky, dude. When I saw the spread, I clicked on 22 and then I was like, okay, so this is like $1. Then I clicked on the 25 to cover it. Remember, when you do the spread, you buy the call, you sell the call on top of it. So you're selling a naked call, but it's covered, which means it's technically a covered call. That's why you're getting the premium from the gains on the shorts on the long side of the call, right? So because you're covering it that way, it creates a spread and now caps your profits at the difference between 25 minus 22, which is $3. But if you're buying it for 37 cents, you divide 3 by 37, you get 800% returns if it can actually mature that level. And probably sell before it gets to that point. But if it does happen, that would be pretty cool. So to me, that made sense. To me, that made a lot of sense. And now we just got to see. We just got to see if that happens. Any update on S&P? No update yet. I'm refreshing the screen. 5:15, we will know. 5:15. So for those that are curious, 5:15, we should have an answer for the S&P 500. It's always obvious in hindsight. Miners went down. Not always obvious. I take profits. Remember, I have taken profits on Robinhood. I have. I've taken almost 12 grand. No, sorry. I've taken almost 15 grand of profits on Robinhood. So it's not like we haven't taken profits. We've taken profits. But at some point, it's like, all right, like let the thing play out. Let the story play out. And this story is just not like, guys, unless we see a massive rug pull in the broader markets or inflation reaccelerates, I don't know what is the catalyst to have a crash. Even the biggest bears, Liz Young we listened to her yesterday saying, yeah, I'm turning kind of bullish. I mean, like when those people start to get on the train, maybe you can say that's a top. But everyone who says that's a top, it's hard for me to take it seriously because why? Why is it a top? It can't just be a top because the market has to slow down. Like, why does the market have to slow down? What's the reason? In a bull run, it's a bull run, and there's hundreds of millions, if not billions of people that want access to assets in this bull run. Let me show you guys a stat as well that I found today that was just incredible. This stat's going to blow your socks off, dude. This stat was insane. Here we go. Look at this. 2018, Nvidia, $4 billion in revenue. 26% of sales were spent on SG&A. Net income and per employee was $264,000. Free cash flow share was $1.15. And then P&E or PE was 50x or 50.4. 2024, 6 years later, sales $60 billion. SG&A out of sales as a percentage of sales 18. $1 million per employee of net income the company's producing. That's a 5x increase from 2018. Free cash flow share is up 10x, 1083 versus $1.15. PE 50 freaking 1. Like this stat, a PE of 50 in 2018 for these metrics that were not bad, but were definitely not the metrics we're seeing in 2024. The almost same exact PE for basically a 30x improvement across the board. You can't say this is a bubble. I mean, if it's a bubble, then it's a question of like, what is the overvaluation part here? Because it's not Nvidia. Maybe it's Lunar, which I agree with. Maybe it's SoundHound, which I agree with. But it's not Nvidia. It's not Nvidia. So here's the question, right? Here's the thing that really put my mind at ease. If Nvidia is not a bubble and Nvidia controls the market, I think objectively we can agree Nvidia controls the market, then the market's not a bubble. That's how I'm feeling. If the market went 5% down on the perception of Nvidia being a bubble when it went on February 21st before the earnings, and then Nvidia crushed to a different degree, like it was a different stratosphere of crush that they did, the market just responded the market was just like, all right, that's fine. If you control the epicenter for demand for AI, and AI is the basis for how companies are going to increase productivity, productivity will increase GDP growth. GDP growth means earnings will be better. Being better means that we're not going to get the same return in a money market fund. So we're going to buy stocks, and then boom, there you go. So again, to me, could we see a pullback? 1000%, 100%. But if you got Bitcoin that's ready to break out, and remember, the reason we're saying Bitcoin breaking out, we're not delusional here about why Bitcoin is breaking out. We are using basic supply and demand. Miners create 900, ETFs are buying 11,000 a day. At some point, the thing's just going to go higher because there's not enough supply to fulfill demand. Like it sounds like it's too good to be true. It's like, no. The smartest people in the world, i.e. Larry Fink, you might think they're evil. They're definitely not stupid. They pretty much knew what was going to happen with all this demand chasing the supply. And it's the fastest ETF ever to reach $10 billion in assets because there is enough demand for this asset. And the more the asset goes up, meaning the more it appreciates, the more legitimate it becomes, and the more of a chance it has to do better. Remember, the reason Bitcoin collapsed back in 2021 was because interest rates went the highest they've ever been in 40 years. And the rate of growth on the interest rates from JPOW is the highest it's ever been. So it spooked the entire markets. And still the bottom was only like 16, 17K. And it just came right back within a year and a half. I mean, what asset drops almost 80% and then a year and a half later, it's right back to their levels, and it's back not with retail, not with like, some marketing campaign, but it's back because institutional investors across the world now have legitimized the asset. So if that's going well and Nvidia keeps pulling up their numbers, which they're not going to stop with their numbers, then there you go. It's going to be what it seems like a pretty cool year in 2024. So it'll be interesting. Antonio says, when everyone will agree it's not a bubble, here comes the bubble. Look, I understand the sentiment around that. It's just, I feel like that analysis doesn't really make sense because it's just saying it to say it, right? Like, it's just saying, oh, when everyone says this, you go the opposite. Like, I get it. But also it's like, well, what's the actual reason for why everyone is saying this? Is everyone saying this because they want to make money? Or is everyone, or do you go against the herd because the herd actually is in groupthink and they're thinking the same thing? Or do you go against the herd because the groupthink that the herd is engaging in is unequivocally false or delusional? And so I think, for example, Palantir at $6, when the herd was going to Snowflake, it made sense to go against the herd because the reason they were going after Snowflake was stupid. It was like Buffett invested, so let's trust him. Like that, it's Wall Street, like that. That was the reason. So when you go against the herd and you say something's going to happen that's a contrarian spec into the context into the herd, I think there has to be a reason that undergirds that. And if there's no reason, it's hard to find it. Here's Cameron Dawson saying why the markets can continue to go higher. Here we go.
Is too hot for a market on the verge of a 16th weekly gain in the last 18. Let's ask Cameron Dawson, New Edge Wealth Chief Investment Officer. So we have momentum. There's nothing you can deny about that. On the other hand, the S&P 500 is like 13, 14% above its 200-day average. It's looking stretched on a bunch of these different metrics. You can then go back and say, well, when you're up in January and February, things tend to follow through to the upside. It felt like this was the week when folks stopped fighting and started chasing.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, momentum is a beautiful thing, and it's a question of how long can it last. Clearly, there's also an aspect of earnings, the optimism around that being that you're starting to see earnings estimates get revised higher. Interestingly, not for 2024, just for 2025. So things are getting a bit more back-end loaded, but momentum is causing this chase and causing this big rally higher. And I think to your point, the question is, when does positioning get so extended that it can't go any further? And we're not quite at the point where we're at extremes like we saw in early 2021 or early 2018, which just suggests things could go further.
Exactly. I mean, it's worth remembering, I guess, that as much as it seems like we're up a ton in a short period of time, the S&P is up like 7% from 2 years and 2 months ago, right? So in other words, you're not that deep into.
That's a hell of a point. I didn't even think of that for the past couple of days. Yeah, we're at all-time highs, but we were at 478 on the S&P January 2022. Now we're at 512. So we're up 7% from 2 years ago. And I know we had a massive dip at 340, but technically, yeah, I mean, like, we're not that far high from where we were before the crash.
Into record territory. You mentioned the earnings picture. It has felt as if, and of course, it's easy to say in retrospect, that Nvidia's numbers enabled the market to say, okay, we don't have to wait. We don't have to worry for another 3 months about the AI story completely falling apart in terms of supply constraint. And then the PCE inflation number yesterday was good enough for people to say, okay, we have another month before we have to worry about something like that, or at least another couple of weeks till CPI.
And then you add on top of it the PMIs today, which surprised to the downside. So you would normally think that that would be bad for the earnings picture. There's a good correlation to PMIs and earnings growth. However, it eased some of the pressure on the expectation for a more hawkish Fed. You saw bets on Fed pricing for the May cut, for example, start to go higher again. So that may be one of the things that's providing another lift.
Yes, and we definitely are going to get to the Fed picture. I guess the question is, you mentioned it doesn't seem like we're at extremes, and I agree with that in terms of overall exposures and flows. It doesn't seem like people are really going crazy throwing money at the market, but you're starting to see the speculative fringes come to life, and what's happening in crypto and all the rest of it. So
he's right. Speculation is coming back, but I don't think speculation is anywhere near was in 2021. For those asking about the S&P 500, it will come out at 515. We got 45 minutes, 5:15. It will come out. In 2021, NFTs were going for $2 million. That's not happening right now, right? And so if NFTs are not going to those sort of absurd levels, I know some altcoins are exploding, but in general, we are not seeing it to the point where it was just that crazy. Then maybe we're not really back at sort of speculation phase yet. It might take some time, but I don't think it's there yet. I wouldn't say this is the top of the cycle by any sense. Let's go to the App Store. Let's see where Robinhood is right now on the App Store and Coinbase. Robinhood right now on the App Store, number 17 in finance. So there you go. They are number 17 right here. And then Coinbase, let's take a look at these guys. They are number 15 in finance. So Coinbase and Robinhood rounding out that top 20. Obviously, people getting more excited. I think wherever you are, whatever country you're in right now, if you want to pull out your phone and check, if you're not in the United States, you can internationally. Robinhood might not be available in some locations. If you're in the EU, it's called crypto. It's not really called Robinhood because they only offer crypto. But if you just look at the top finance apps and you start to see investing apps, I mean, there is a lot more investing apps that are starting to crack into that top 50 because people are looking for ways to buy. Like, look at this. Bybit, buy and trade crypto. This thing is number 23. I don't know what the hell Bybit is. I've never heard of what Bybit is, but you know what? They're probably spending a crap ton of money on Apple ads. People are probably searching for crypto all over the App Store, how to buy it. And then boom, crypto.com is number 24. I don't think this thing has been in number 20 in the top 30 in like a year. Like, does anyone use crypto.com, dude? It's so weird that like the crypto.com is even a thing. They sponsored the Lakers arena. Binance, number 26. All these people are looking for access. And so these are weird investing apps. These aren't the typical Coinbases or Robinhood, the easy ones. These are like a little bit more, obscure, and still people are trying to figure out a way to get access to these assets. And so I think we're going to see that happen more and more. SoFi right now at number 40. SoFi right now at number 40. So yeah, it seems like a lot more people are looking to come into the markets. Amit, you need to answer this. Did Steve really try to get you to buy a Spider-Man NFT, or was that a joke? Steve has tried to get me to buy so many what he calls alternative assets that he thinks are so exciting. And I've said no to every single one of them. I've said no to every single one. I was like, no, Steve, I'd rather buy more Palantir. I'm just not doing that. So it is what it is. But yeah, I've not bought an NFT about Spider-Man. I've never bought an NFT ever. I think I've bought like a shit coin at one point, but I've never bought a dumb NFT, Not to say they're dumb. I know people love that stuff. I just personally never saw the value in it. But if you use it as a baseball card, I guess it is kind of the same thing as just digital. The point is that speculation will come back. It's just not happening yet, which means we've got a lot of room to run in this cycle and in this broader market. Crypto is number 4. Coinbase is number 14 in the UK. Look at that. Wow, Lenny, thanks for that. So crypto is number 4. That's basically Robinhood. Oh, let me share this with you guys. And Coinbase is number 14. Lenny, can you text me a screenshot of that on Twitter by any chance? Because I would love to tweet that. And I see you're on Twitter right now. That comment's from Twitter. Can you DM me the screenshot of crypto being number 4? I would love to put that out there and show people that. So there you go. I mean, it's coming back. And look, so this is Robinhood crypto in the EU, because the EU is not as totalitarian as the United States SEC. They actually allow people to buy altcoins. And look at all these coins that Robinhood's crypto account in the EU just listed. A bunch of these. Solana, WIF, Pepe, Doge, Shiba Inu. The assets are back. And for everyone saying these altcoins don't have any value and people are just buying them for fun and it's not that big of a deal, and it feels kind of weird that people are buying these alternative coins. What I would say is that these alternative coins have communities just like stocks have communities. Now, obviously, the Tesla community, the Palantir community, the SoFi community, I think is a little bit more sophisticated than the Shiba Inu community. But the point is, in a bull run, communities come together and assets appreciate. It's just what happens. And so if we're seeing the appreciation in these assets that do have some utility, even if they don't have the most utility, it's because people don't want to buy Bitcoin or Ethereum. They want to spread out their wings. And when they spread out their wings, you're going to have other assets go up. The point is we're very early in those assets going up. And post halving event, or before the halving event, I don't even think we're going to begin to really see what that FOMO looks like on a global scale, which it will happen on a global scale. When that does happen, boom, you are going to see a lot more people downloading these products and coming into these different assets. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see them happening. Now, look, I wouldn't buy any of the alternative coins. I'm not saying you should chase Shiba Inu. I would not do that. But the point is, there are plenty of people that will, right? So, I would say you shouldn't be that person. But there's 1,292 people here. I think all of us are pretty sophisticated to not chase Shiba Inu or all these other coins. But there are plenty of other people in the world that will, and it is what it is. By the way, my friend, who's a very smart guy, invested in one of these altcoins, and he's up a lot. Like he got in very early on one of these alternative coins. And he's been kind of showing me how the community kind of galvanizes around the coin and people are making memes and all this stuff. And it becomes a fun thing, kind of like Palantir, except we have an actual company to analyze, whereas these people just have a coin that keeps going up. The point is you can have whatever opinion, good or bad, it is happening. And if it is happening, then boom, you're going to get a lot more volatility in these markets. And you can either ignore it or you can take advantage of it. And I think there's ways to take advantage of it. And Robinhood obviously is taking a lot of advantage of it. They're advertising all the new cryptocurrencies on the EU exchange that they have. And they're saying, hey, if you want to buy it, we give you the opportunity to buy it. We're not advocating you buy it. We're not saying you shouldn't buy it, but they are selling the picks and shovels. Coinbase is selling the picks and shovels in the gold rush. And we're seeing a gold rush right now. And because we're seeing a gold rush, there are obviously picks and shovels that need to be sold. And Robinhood's one of them that are selling those that are selling those picks and shovels. Palantir inclusion is not out, guys. 5:15. 5:15 it'll happen. 5:15. Ronik says crypto apps moving to top 10 in app charts is concerning. See, I think of it differently. I think it's an opportunity. Like, if these people are coming into the markets, remember, getting people's attention is the hardest thing in the world. Getting people to actually listen to you, look at your ideas, etc. Bitcoin going up is the greatest marketing for all of these applications. Now, here's the thing. This is where it's like, Uber versus taxis. If you believe Bitcoin's going to go up and rip your face off in the context of a rally, you cannot be bearish on alternative coins, the Robinhoods, cryptos, the miners going up, because they're just going to follow. You can't be bearish on Uber getting all the drivers to leave from the taxis, because if they offer a better service, the taxi drivers are going to leave. If Bitcoin shows the world that it is an asset that is simply, much more sophisticated, and it is a store of value, and it's not inflatable in a time where every single country is printing money to the death of their currency, then people are going to be attracted to that. And if people are attracted to that at the tunes of hundreds of millions, they will be attracted to alternative byproducts of that asset. And then boom, there you go. You're in a full crypto bull run. That bull run will eventually end, but I don't think we're anywhere near that personal end yet. Not yet. And so we'll see what happens. Oh, by the way, this is not just me saying it. Founders Fund, Peter Thiel's fund, invested $200 million in Bitcoin and Ethereum. So like, this is what I'm saying. The smartest people in the world also understand that this is happening. And as a result of that, they are positioning themselves as well to take advantage of it. Now, look, they're not buying the alternative coins. They're buying some of the main assets. But the point is, all these things are going to run if this ends up taking off. So February 12th, Reuters reported from late summer to early fall last year, the fund invested $200 million to acquire crypto tokens, half in Bitcoin and half in Ether, the two largest cryptocurrencies. Two sources with direct knowledge of the matter told Reuters. If Elon Musk comes out tomorrow and says Dogecoin is the official currency of X, which I don't think he's going to do, but if he does, I mean, you know what I mean? This is where the market can get kind of crazy, and big money is going to start to pile in for a variety of these different coins that are happening. Mike says, I believe Bitcoin will peak between 140 and 150,000. My exit strategy is based on this. I actually think you're right. I just think, and I hate saying Bitcoin's going to go to 100,000 because it makes me feel like I'm delusional. Like, I just never liked saying that because the price sounds egregious. But if you look at the supply and demand, it does not seem crazy anymore. It sounds crazy to someone who is not familiar with the concept of it, but it's 40 grand away from 100,000, and the supply and demand dynamics plus the FOMO that has not really started yet is going to continue. And if that does continue, then we're probably going to see some more momentum. Here's Grayscale CEO speaking about what's going on with Bitcoin. Tanya in the chat says Coinbase is number 10 in finance in Ireland, and Binance is number 7. Yeah, it's happening, guys. It is happening. If they're getting into the top 10, number 7 and number 10, people are coming back. Here we go.
Michael Sonnenschein joins us here on set at Post 9. He rang the opening bell this morning in celebration of its Bitcoin Trust ETF. Welcome. Good to have you.
Thanks for having me. It's wonderful to be here.
Why do you think Bitcoin has had such an amazing run here to start the year?
Well, a lot of pent-up demand based on the spot Bitcoin ETFs coming to market. GBTC uplisted in January of this year, and that really opened the door to a lot of other spot Bitcoin ETFs also coming to market. And so we're seeing tremendous flows, tremendous investor demand, and that's really also outpacing the supply of Bitcoin coming into the market every day, which is really being additive to price.
But aren't you specifically at Grayscale seeing outflows? I've seen recent data. Bloomberg says 7.4 billion of outflows in the last 30 days.
Well, I think it's important to think about how GBTC came to market. It came to market with almost $30 billion of assets and investors of all shapes and sizes. And so we anticipated some outflows as opposed to some of the new products coming to market starting from zero. I do think, though, if we zoom out and we look at what that investor demand is like, we've never seen such insatiable demand for an ETF wrapper providing access to, a new asset class like we have here.
But I guess the concern for you might be that there are a lot of other options. BlackRock's seeing inflows. A lot of your competitors are seeing inflows. We just learned this week that some of the big banks like Wells Fargo and Morgan Stanley are looking at getting into these products as well.
Yeah, we're just at the tipping point. I think that, many of my other colleagues in the industry have called for a new wave of adoption as Bitcoin ETFs become available through advised wealth channels. There's over $40 trillion of advised wealth in the US, and they largely have not been participating in Bitcoin or the crypto asset class more broadly. So we do think that, we're still in the early innings of this, only a couple weeks since spot Bitcoin ETFs came to market.
But how do you plan to stay competitive when it's getting so crowded?
Well, GBTC has one of the most diverse shareholder bases out there. It's been in market for 10 years. We have some of the tightest spreads and largest liquidity out there. And so it does bring a differentiated value and that track record that a lot of investors are looking for when they're making those allocation decisions.
Grayscale seeing a lot of outflows, but those outflows not enough to stop the inflows that are coming out for a variety of these ETFs. And that is what's also leading to the upside pressure in the context of Bitcoin and the demand side pressure. A couple other things I want to show you guys here in the context of Bitcoin. Let me just pull this up and we'll take a look at it. Oh yeah, here's one. So BlackRock and Fidelity, a couple stats, now owned a combined 265,000 Bitcoin, worth 16.3 billion for their spot Bitcoin ETFs. The market cap of Bitcoin, I believe, is 1.2 trillion, something like that. I'll pull that up in a second. And BlackRock and Fidelity now officially have 16.3 billion out of that 1.2 trillion. Yep, it's 1.2 trillion exactly. Ethereum's market cap is now 412 billion. And as you guys can see, let me share my screen right here. Again, the Palantir news will be out at 5:15. So we got about 30 minutes left and then we'll get the news. In the past 7 days, Bitcoin's market cap is up 22%. Past 7 days, Ethereum's market cap is up 16%. And then Solana is up 30%. Solana's worth as much as Palantir right now. Like 57 billion. What is the value to something like a Solana and Ethereum? A lot of it is decentralized finance and the applications that are being built on top of these blockchains. So for people that just want a high-level overview of why these coins are going up, it's because not only are people buying them, but people are seeing more use cases to utilize the blockchains themselves in order to build decentralized applications. Now, whether those applications scale or not is a question of ultimately how those companies that are building on top of these blockchains execute. But the fact is that there is a use case to a set of people, and those use cases are leading to more momentum as well in the broader price action. Palantir in the after hours is up a little bit, up 0.44%. We're back at $25. 25.05. We closed the day at 24.93 on Palantir. Kite says, I'm just buying CleanSpark as a crypto play. I think that's fine. I think CleanSpark as a crypto play is a pretty good crypto play, quite frankly. All of it, again, just depends on crypto. Speaking on CleanSpark, here's Matthew Schultz, the CEO of CleanSpark. He just tweeted this. Back in 2021, with power prices on the rise and tons of new hash rate coming online, CleanSpark sold our Bitcoin and invested that capital into massive growth during the bear market. This is why I like the CEO for CleanSpark. He's smart. He saw the top and he sold. He had no morality or like where you have to hold forever. He's like, no. Let's sell this shit. Let's get the money and let's keep investing. Otherwise, they would have gone out of business, literally. We bought companies that had good bones and just lacked the CleanSpark way, and we've turned them into the most efficient facilities with amongst the highest uptime in the country. These are what their facilities look like. I believe this is in Georgia. These computers, servers are mining Bitcoin all day. I mean, the amount of energy and computational output you need and the infrastructure you need to make this happen. CleanSpark, obviously, with the massive amount of vertical integration to keep the cost the lowest ever to mine Bitcoin, they're doing it. So people are saying, well, what happens to the miners? Because if the miners are mining 900 Bitcoin and that turns into 450 after the halving event, then what's going to happen to the miners' income? The point is, if Bitcoin goes up, the delta between the amount they produce, the cost they use to be able to create the Bitcoin, and the actual price of Bitcoin will remain unchanged or actually increase in terms of their operating margins. So if Bitcoin goes to 80K, it doesn't matter if their supply is cut in half because the price of Bitcoin has gone higher than where it was when it was at 40,000. Now, if Bitcoin doesn't go up, then the miners are screwed because obviously they can't mine as many Bitcoin because programmably it's going to go from 900 to 450. But if Bitcoin goes up, which theoretically it should go up, that's the ironic thing here, because it's deflating, it's inflating less from 1.9 to 0.8%, and there's less Bitcoin to go around, there's going to be a shit ton more demand. And if that demand comes in, the miners should be able to be well capitalized because the price of Bitcoin will go up and they'll be able to make a good profit and a good margin on Bitcoin's price. So that is the thesis for the miners. It has to play out that way, but that's kind of what I think a lot of people are thinking about. 515 S&P news. That's correct. 515 S&P. 515 S&P. And we will know at 515 when the news comes out. So about 30 minutes. Only the most efficient miners and those with stacks of Bitcoin survive. Agreed. And a miner, Marathon and CleanSpark are obviously two of those companies that I would say have the best bet of making this, really work and officially become a reality. Couple other headlines I'm looking at right now. Spotify has launched a $9.99 per month standalone audiobook service for its users. So if anyone wants audiobooks for $9.99 a month, I don't understand why you would pay this. Spotify Premium already is $9.99, so I feel like you would maybe they have a bundle in part of this. Are you guys audiobooks people? Do you listen to audiobooks? I've never gotten into audiobooks, quite frankly. I listen to a lot of podcasts, but I'm not an audiobook guy. Let me know in the chat if you guys actually listen to audiobooks, and would you pay for a service that charges for audiobooks? The thing about this is, like, Spotify's gonna have to split this money with the publishers. So the money that they get from users for music, it goes to the record labels. The money they get from users for audiobooks now is going to go to Penguin, Random House, and all those big guys. So I still don't know where Spotify makes their profit margin. That's always the biggest issue I've had here with Spotify. Bay Ray says, I just read the books. Wow, Bay Ray, I didn't know you know how to read. That's quite the revelation today. I did not know about that. You surprised me today. Guys, I'm not being mean, okay? Bay Ray has destroyed my my ego, my confidence. He's very mean to me. So I get to take one dig at him, okay? I get to have one dig at him in the chat. 515 we'll know about the S&P. It's not out yet. 515 we will know. A lot of people say they listen to audiobooks. Currently listening to the Elon book. Okay, so speaking of Walter Isaacson, let's take a listen to him today. Elon Musk is suing OpenAI. Let's get his take on why this is happening. Here we go.
The author of the best-selling biography, Elon Musk, and a CNBC contributor as well. He joins us now for his take on that developing situation. We asked Dee, and Dee brought it up, Walter, about this, the motivations from Elon Musk. I wonder, given what you know of Elon Musk, what you think the motivations really are.
Well, you go back to 2012 when all this started, and there's a long, complex, wonderful relationship between Elon Musk and Sam Altman. And it's in the book starting in 2012 when Musk really becomes worried about the potential of AI getting out of control. Demis Hassabis, who eventually sells his company DeepMind to Google, had come to visit Musk at SpaceX and said, this is an existential threat. Elon Musk is somebody who takes these existential threats seriously, and he sees himself as a superhero. So he founds OpenAI with Sam Altman. They make it open source. They make it a nonprofit. And then, of course, the falling out comes when Sam Altman decides it's no longer going to be a nonprofit and it's no longer going to be open source. So exactly a year ago this month, I was reporting my book, and there is Elon Musk summoning Sam Altman to what was then called Twitter headquarters, saying, let's go over these founding documents. How can you do this? And at that point, Musk said, we're going to end up having to sue him. So this began 12 years ago, and the lawsuit began a year ago.
Walter, just how far can we expect Elon Musk to take this? And how much, first of all, monetary capital, and then psychological, emotional capital is he willing to spend in a lawsuit as extensive and as wide-reaching as this one against not just OpenAI and Sam Altman, but almost a concept, if you will?
You know, if you'll read the lawsuit, which I did, is not talking about money. It's not even asking for real huge damages. It's saying you've got to open it up like your founding documents said you would. When they met.
Now, here's the thing. If they open it up, ironically, they're called OpenAI. If they open it up, they don't have a moat. So there's not going to be any money as well. So it's going to be really hard for OpenAI to actually be open.
at a year ago when Musk told Sam Altman to come over to Twitter headquarters and bring the founding documents of OpenAI. Altman said, look, I'm not making money out of this. Altman said he wasn't, but he said, if you want, you can have shares in this for profit. You can make money. Musk turned it down. Musk didn't want that. Musk said, we got to keep it totally open so that it can't run out of control. That's the remedy sought in this lawsuit. I don't know that the lawsuit will actually go to trial, but he's going to push very hard that you can't take a nonprofit open source something, which was OpenAI, and turn it into what they're doing now, which is something pretty much controlled by Microsoft.
But Walter, one thing that Matt Levine points out in his newsletter today is that there really wasn't a founding agreement, that it was memorialized in founding articles of incorporation and in some written communications over a multi-year period. So it seems like there isn't kind of that traditional founding agreement, that document to hang one's hat on here.
Well, no, you can read the lawsuit. There is the articles of incorporation. They're the emails that go back and forth. This is not an open and like anything Elon Musk touches. This is not open and shut. But yeah, they did have a whole bunch of founding documents, and those are all quoted very extensively in the lawsuit. And a complex part of those documents were when it becomes AGI. It's not part of the opening documents, but the original documents, but the Microsoft deal said it no longer, the deal with Microsoft no longer stands when it becomes a general intelligence. And one of the things about this lawsuit is that Musk is contending now that GPT-4 and beyond has really gotten into the era of not just artificial intelligence, but a reasoning, rational, general intelligence.
It's an interesting point, because if that's the case, then yeah, Elon is really concerned about what's going to happen with AGI. Here are the emails from 2015. Okay. So June 24th, 2015, Sam Altman said, he wrote this to Elon. The mission would be to create the first general AI and use it for the individual empowerment, i.e. the distributed version of the future that seems the safest. More generally, safety would be a first-class requirement. Second, I think we'd start with a group of 7 to 10 people and plan to expand from there. We have a nice extra building in Mountain View they can have. I think for a governance structure, we should start with 5 people, and I propose you and me, and then 3 other names. The technology would be owned by the foundation and used for the good of the world. And in use cases where it's not obvious that's how it should be applied by the 5 of us would decide. The researchers would have significant financial upside, but it would be uncorrelated to what they build, which should eliminate some of the conflict. We'll pay them a competitive salary and give them YC equity for the upside. We have an ongoing conversation about what should be open source, what shouldn't. At some point, we get someone to run the team, but he or she probably shouldn't be on the governance board. Then he says, hey, will you be involved somehow in addition to just governance? I think that would be really helpful for getting work pointed in the right direction, getting the best people to be a part of it. Ideally, you could come by and talk to them about progress once a month or whatever. We generally call people involved in some limited way and see part-time partners. We do that for Peter Thiel, for example. But we could call it whatever you want. Even if you can't spend a lot of time on it, but be publicly supportive, that would still probably be helpful for recruiting. Finally, he says, I think that the right plan with the regulation letter is to wait for this to get going, and then we can just release it with a message. Like, now that we are doing this, I've been thinking a lot about what sort of constraints the world needs for safety. I'm happy to leave you off as a signatory. I also suspect that after it's out, more people will be getting behind it. And then look at what Elon said. Agree on all. That's it. Elon was like, dude, I got to go back to Tesla, but I agree. I agree with everything. This is in 2015. And I think he gave him, let's actually look that up. How much did Elon Musk give? How much did Elon Musk, let's ask Gemini. Gemini is going to be like, Elon Musk is white, therefore I can't answer the question. How much did Elon Musk give Sam Altman for OpenAI? And then Elon gives him a ton of money after that email, and then the rest is history. OpenAI becomes a thing, and apparently Elon now owns none of it because it was never really a company to own. Okay, so Gemini is not giving me an answer. Let me go to actual Google and see if I can get a number amount here. I think it's in the tune of 70 to 80 million. It's about 44 million. Okay, 44 million. Okay, so TechCrunch has it. 44 million. 44 million Dolores Elon Musk put in this. For those that are looking for the Palantir News, 5:15, we'll have the answer. 5:15, we will have the answer for S&P. So right here, as you can see, Elon Musk donated $44 million to the nonprofit between 2016 and September 2020. He was the largest contributor to OpenAI, and he left their board in 2018. So he put in a decent chunk of cash to get this thing going, and now he's suing them. And then he spent $44 billion to combat OpenAI. Dude, that's crazy. $44 million to get it started, $44 billion to try to compete with them. Look, Grok is very interesting. I haven't started to use Grok as much as I use ChatGPT. It's just not as effective for me. And so I've tried to use Grok, but it's just not. It's not it, you know. And so I love Twitter as a platform. I'm a big fan of Twitter. I'll put my Twitter in the chat. You guys can follow me there. Twitter is great. I love using it. I just don't like using Grok as much. And so I don't know how they necessarily plan to monetize it. But I pay for premium, by the way. I pay fucking $30 a month to Elon. And he gets my money for a bunch of different accounts. So it's like they're making money off of it, but I don't know if they're going to get a ton of usage as much as ChatGPT is getting. Like, I don't think they have hundreds of millions of users literally typing stuff into the model every day. Grok is way better. It's more accurate. See, for me, I don't use ChatGPT for necessarily answers. I use it to like do tasks for me. That's how I use AI. And for that, I need something that's very sophisticated, right? Like if I want to summarize something in 5 bullet points, that's what I'm looking for versus like necessarily information per se. But I'm sure Grok is really good at indexing tweets and then giving that information as well. How are we not having a tailgate party to celebrate possible inclusion? Instead, we are doing this. Look, guys, I don't want to get people's hopes up. There is a chance we don't get included because the committee is just like, no, we don't want you guys to be included. So I really hope it happens. But if it doesn't happen, that's okay. I would be curious to see what companies they pick, which companies end up leaving as well. But I don't think, I just don't know what's going to end up happening. It's going to be really, really exciting to see it. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world. If it does happen, though, then it's going to be fun. The thing is, I think we would have seen a lot more buying volume this week, unless the toots kind of did it low key somehow to anticipate it. But maybe, and here's my bold thesis, maybe all the buy side pressure on Palantir was after earnings. So 16 to 24, the institutions were like, all right, they're gap profitable, they're growing, they're going to be in the S&P, let's just buy the stock. And then boom, you get a 50% jump. Like what more could you ask for? And maybe that was the jump for the anticipation of the S&P inclusion. So when the S&P inclusion happens, Palantir jumps, but doesn't jump that much because the toots already bought in, even though they have the lowest institutional ownership in all the 500 out of all the 500 companies. So I don't know, but we'll see. We will see. Palantir right now is up about 0.56% after hours currently right now. Why are so many people expecting us to get in, though? We just became eligible. Well, we became eligible in December, actually. So by December, we were fully eligible. And now it's been 3 more months. So it's been basically 4 months since we've been eligible. And that doesn't mean we have to get in, but it does mean that we are on the running. Like they can't ignore us. They have to take a look at Palantir. And so now we're just going to see if it actually happens. Tanya, thank you for the 1. I don't think this is a pound. This is some type of currency. I don't know if it's a pound, but it's something. Thank you for the 1 something super chat. Really, really appreciate it. It's not a pound, dude. It looks like it's an Asian currency. I'm learning so much about currency now with your guys' super chats. It's a pound. It is a pound. It's a euro, right? It's a euro. It's not a pound. It's a euro. Yeah, it's a euro. And then thank you to Captain Banana for the $1 super chat from Canada. Appreciate it, Captain Banana. I'm filled with potassium every morning. It's a euro. Okay, don't make fun of me. It's a euro. I didn't know. I'm an ignorant American in the, being on YouTube has forced me to learn more about the broader world, because like when I say like good morning, people are like, well, it's not morning for us. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. It's not morning for you guys. I forgot. So I have to learn more about time zones now and all that stuff. It's a derivative. All right, you guys are funny. Huh? You guys are really funny. It's an Asian euro. All right, in 15 minutes, we will know. In 15 minutes, we will know if Palantir is in the S&P 500. A couple of other headlines that happened today. MicroStrategy obviously crossing $1,000. Bitcoin ETFs having one of their largest days in terms of volume. The PMI data, which I know is boring for a lot of people, but this is if the United States is contracting or expanding when it comes to manufacturing. came in at 47. The market expected 49. Above 50 is expanding. Below 50 is contracting. Now, one of the reasons I said in the morning that's bearish, one of the reasons that's actually bullish is because we have less inflation technically. Like if PMI is down, then maybe we actually are not producing as much, which means we have a little bit more of a hedge against inflation. So maybe that money, that news was actually good for the market, and that's why the S&P also rallied, versus being like so bad because our manufacturing is not as strong as it was a couple months ago. But it is coming down a little bit more, and Chinese PMI came down a lot, and that means China will export deflation, which will be also very good for the United States and having CPI come down. We have 2 weeks till we get CPI data, folks. That February CPI is going to matter. If that thing comes in hot, that could potentially stop the rally. Now, granted, I said that last time, and it did come in hot, and it stopped the rally for like an hour, and then we were back on. So maybe if it comes in hot, it happens again. But I think it'll come in lower, and if it does, then maybe March is an even better month, because the market's finally going to start to really, really price in those rate cuts by the summer. Tim Saunders, thank you for the $10 Canadian super chat. He said, here's dollars for you, the shitty kind. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. It means a lot, and I'm going to put that into Palantir. So everyone knows of my public fund. Let me pull that up right now. Whatever I get paid from Twitter today, Twitter gives paychecks every 2 weeks. I'll be investing in the public fund. This is the public fund right now. It's basically $4,000, all of it into good old Palantir. How many shares? We have 157 shares at $23.62 a share. So whatever Twitter pays us today, I think we'll probably find out around the same time Palantir gets included in the S&P. Usually they announce it at like 5:30ish. Then I will tell you guys how much we're putting into that public fund and how much more Palantir. So Elon Musk is basically going to buy us a crap ton of Palantir, hopefully. And we're just going to let it sit there for a long time. What all do you invest into public fund? X and YouTube. Basically any YouTube super chat and then any X payment or whatever. Throw that into the public fund and just buy more Palantir. You've gotten paid $4,000 from Twitter? No. So half of this money actually came from an option strategy we did on Palantir, like in December, that we took profits on. So we put $2,000 in Palantir. We made 60% of that. We made $1,200 back in like February 15th-ish, like right after earnings. And so I took that initial $2,000 and I threw it into the public fund. Like, all right, we're going to take the money we put into options and we're going to go long on shares and we'll keep the profits. So that's how we got half of that into the fund. Sarvesh says, why did you invest in Palantir? This is such an interesting question. I've actually answered this question a bunch of times over the past couple of years. I was talking to a reporter today that was also getting my thoughts on a piece they're doing on Palantir. I think the big thing for me, guys, and my story is I did debate in high school and I was always obsessed with philosophy. When I saw Palantir call their Foundry software ontology, which is a philosophical term, that to me, dude, it turned me on. I was just like, why is this enterprise B2B company talking about ontology? Right? Like, what is going on here? What, I've never heard of a company talk like that. And so that to me just got me so excited. Ontology, the branch of metaphysics dealing with the nature of being, a set of concepts and categories in a subject area or domain that shows their properties and the relations between them. So when Palantir says the ontological positioning of your data within an organization is controlled via Foundry, via AIP, and that centralized ontology is where you get insights for your data, and that is the state of being of your data, of your organization. To me, I was like, wait a second, this is different. This is very different. Now, Namir says this is word cocktail. I would argue with that, and I would say that this is a fruity punch cocktail filled with words that tastes very delicious. And then I started researching Palantir, and then I listened to Mr. Alex Karp, and that kind of sold me on it. I want to play a clip while we're waiting. Why don't we watch this clip? You guys might have seen it already, but if you haven't, I posted this yesterday on Twitter. It's a good 6-minute clip, and it'll get us to that 5:15 time range, and it'll allow us to remember why Karp was so bullish against Snowflake. So right here, I tweeted this out yesterday. Snowflake since going public down 21%. Palantir since going public 172%. That's a hell of a difference, dude. Wall Street picked Snowflake. Retail, all of us picked fucking Palantir. We had Alex Karp's back when no one had his back. Palantir did $430 million of stock-based compensation last year on $2.2 billion. Snowflake did $1.1 billion on $2.6 billion of revenue. which is insane. Almost half of Snowflake's revenue is stock-based comp. So people get mad about Palantir for dilution. It's like, it's not as bad as some of the other guys out there. So he says in this video, we will continue to build products years ahead of the competition. Palantir unveiled the AIP platform 4 months after LLMs became mainstream. They hosted 2 conferences, and now they're growing 70% in the United States. This was because they knew what was going to happen in regards to LLMs and the implications on data within the enterprise before it happened. Here is Karp talking with Kevin Warsh back in 2022 about the competition and why Palantir is so ahead of different companies. Here we go.
So I want to dig down into the companies. I want to dig down into the commercial business of yours, and if you're going to let me, a little bit on the military national security side. I think where we agree on the financial piece of it is there's going to be a bill to pay. There are no free lunches, and the more direct we can get the money to those that deserve it, the better off we'd be. But let's dig into the business. So on your commercial business, I'm going to take a shot at your competitors for a minute. Or your would-be competitors. Some of them have a lot of nice products. It strikes me as the non-technologist, their products are narrower than yours, maybe more easily digestible, certainly more easily saleable. How do you think about, the Snowflakes of the world, the Databricks of the world, and that product suite, as it were, compared to yours?
Well, that's both a shot at them and a could be a legitimate, critical, interesting question about Palantir. Our products are deeper than any other products on the market. Have an institutional veracity that's differentiated. Are doing things that are arguably more important. I don't think anyone would. I don't think that's really subject to debate. I do think what is a legitimate question is if a product is future oriented and requires a depth of understanding of the product, and or it doesn't inherently map to selling a wrench to a pre-existing technical org, will you capture the full value of those products? So I think you can ask the critical question of various companies. You mentioned too, there are many. Are the products actually thick enough to be valuable? You could ask the question of Palantir, is it thin enough to be fully monetized? And I think both questions are legitimate. What I would say is our view at Palantir is we're very differentiated in building these products before they exist. And on the thick part, we are without competition. So then there's a question of are we able to supply parts of our product or various products, for example, products that we're building now, products that we have in Foundry, to an enterprise that may in fact prefer something that fits into their architecture that is thinner. That gets into a very legitimate question, which is, okay, forget now. It's like, is Palantir building the product of the future, but willing to supply into the current environment by providing products that are more digestible into an organization that maybe it wants to go their own way and wants to buy a certain product for a certain thing, but does not want to buy all of Foundry. By the way, so the answer in the near term has been yes. But in the future, we are going to continue to focus very much on what you're calling kind of thick, future-oriented products because they're differentiated. But then as the parts of this product become less differentiated and more, for lack of a better word, commodity, like there's 8 companies that supply them, figuring out ways to decouple the product and sell these things in a modular way, partly because there's an assumption which is just not true that is very intuitive, that if you have a full stack product, that the sums of the product are less valuable than if they were taken apart, i.e. that each wrench, each part of that product is inferior to a product that's just that product. But it's actually not true at all. It's actually the opposite. And part of what we will be doing over the next couple of years is both continuing to build things that are not understood, sell them to deal with the macro conditions that you have outlined that I agree, but also democratizing parts of our product so that people who want a different version of the product can also buy it. We're not super ideological there, as long as our core mission is to continue to be entrepreneurial outsiders in the product realm, which is where, again, we would like to continue to stay in a world where we're not competitive.
Yeah, I mean, if I've got this right, if you could disaggregate the solution into various products and you could make one product thin enough, you could just slip it under the door, then the guy who's got to buy it on the other side might say, yeah, that works pretty well. And then you're in the enterprise versus just banging on the door and saying, really, this is
our version of that is, well, first of all, the larger product is particularly valuable where dislocation happens and your institution will die. So there's going to just be an increased demand for that. But, we are in the business of building software. And if you want, and then now we're going to figure out in the future, how do you also disambiguate the products in a way that people who just want to buy parts of it can buy. And that's never been a contradiction for us. Honestly, every successful business that ends up being massively so not Palantir today, but Palantir in 5 years, what we will be, it starts with the world's most complex problem, figures out solutions for it, and then figures out a way to do that tomorrow and the next day while allowing people to buy parts of it that are arguably less complex. And that's how you build not a business that is where we are now, but a business that is 10 times, arguably 20 times bigger.
Dude, when you hear a CEO talk like that, like, I don't know about you guys, but you just want to be like, all right, I'm going to give them a chance. Like, out of all the CEOs that exist on Wall Street, I'm going to give that guy a chance. What he's articulating, we got 4 minutes, folks, until this comes out. What he's articulating is the dichotomy behind innovative, internal, entrepreneurial understandings of building products that are multi-billion-dollar products for the enterprise years before organizations are even going to know they need those, i.e. LLMs, which is why AIP came out so quickly. And then being able to mold a culture of people that want to engage in those hard problems. And then how do you ultimately monetize that? That was at a time where Palantir didn't have a sales force, or they were getting critiqued for not having a sales force. And Karp was like, yeah, these other companies like the Snowflakes of the world, they have these thin products that are easily sellable, which is why they have 8,000 clients. We have thick products that we haven't figured out sales yet, but boot camps are starting to scale now a year later, but we know there's value. And at the end of the day, are you investing in value or are you investing in sales? I think you got to invest in value at the end of the day. That's at least what I would, put my investment thesis on. All right. 3 minutes, folks. We got 3 minutes. This is what we're looking at right here. As you can see, this is the rebalance stage. So right here, you can see March 1st, 2024, S&P 500, 400, 500, 600 quarterly review, announce date, March 1st. The rebalance happens March 15th. So if everything we are looking at is correct, in 2 minutes, we should get an answer and we will know who's been added, who's not been added. And then on March 15th, there will be an official actual like rebalance. Like it'll actually get into the S&P. So we've got 2 minutes and let's see how it all plays out. This is exciting stuff. I'll get the cowbell if it's ready. But this is exciting. Let's see. We need Arnie here. Arnie's probably sleeping. He'll be on Palantir Weekly tonight. We'll be on Palantir Weekly. So please make sure to check that out. Please make sure also to follow on the Twitter. I'll be posting a ton of updates after this S&P 500, analyzing all the stuff. So if you are not following Twitter, please make sure to follow Twitter. And we'll be breaking down everything going on in the world of Palantir. All right, we got a minute left. We have 1 minute left. The website is crashing, really? Oh, shit, you're right. The website's crashing. Wow, I just refreshed it. It's not refreshing. Dude, website's lagging, yeah. Website's like, oh, Arnie's here. Arnie, I'm putting the link in our Twitter if you want to hop on. If you want to hop on real quick. I'm putting the link. I thought you were sleeping, dude. Let me Let me send it to you. If you can hop on. If not, it's okay. Damn, it's lagging, dude. Of course it would be lagging at this moment. All right, so here's the website. It is still refreshing. All right, I'm gonna go on my phone and see. Oh, that's crazy. Website's being updated. Yeah, the website's probably being updated too. That's also that. Dude, wow, we'll be back soon. The plot thickens, folks. The plot thickens. Technically, it's 5:14. It's not 5:15 yet. It's 5:14. It's 5:14. The stock right now is at 25.11. It's going up. Stock's going up. Arnie, you're here. I got you. I got you here, Arnie. Stock is going up. Yep, you're there. All right, Arnie, thank you for joining us. Arnie is here, everybody. 5:15. We should get the answer. Arnie, this is like a movie. This is why it's so fun covering this thing. It's
we made the website crash.
We made the website crash. All those Palantars are there fucking pressing this button over and over and over again. Palantir 25.12. We're up almost 1% after hours. Please, no one feel bad if we don't get in, okay? If we don't get in, we just get to play this story again in 3 months. So don't feel horrible. But if we do get in, we're going to get a nice $5 biggie meal at Wendy's tonight. Let's just say that. We're going to get 2 of those if we get in today. We'll be able to get some good food.
Hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Let me know if the website's still working on your side. On my side, look, we got this fucking this year 1995. It turned into it. It's so funny when websites turn into like websites from like HTML from like they can't handle. Look at this. They can't handle the traffic. Oh boy. Yeah, look at this. It turned into a potato. It turned into a 403 forbidden.
Palantir logo.
They need some fucking Foundry, dude. They need some. This is hilarious. This is hilarious.
Has it ever happened to you when you search something on Palantir's website and it crashes?
Yeah.
Like a 414 error.
This is so funny, dude. It's literally not working. I'm gonna pull up a new tab. This is hilarious, dude. Why would it crash? This is not like, this is just a basic update. This shouldn't be that, unless the traffic is ridiculous.
Well, I think a lot of fund managers actually look at this stuff.
I'll put the link in the chat, guys. This is the link if you guys want to try it out and make the traffic even worse. Arnie, what are your thoughts? Do you think we get in or no?
I would bet yes. I'm actually betting yes.
You bought some today, right? You bought some more Palantir?
I bought some the other day just for but I consider it more a speculative bet. Wait a second. Okay. Because the idea is simple. This is one of those events that are quite asymmetrical. If we get it, we have like a positive surprise. If we don't,
real quick, Arnie, Palantir just fell after hours, 24.80. So maybe we didn't get in, but we don't have the info yet. Maybe the terminal got it. Maybe the terminal got it.
Maybe you know, Bloomberg tends to have like info faster.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Keep talking. I'll refresh. Go ahead. Keep talking.
I was just saying it is one of those events where it's like if you lose, you don't really lose. So I said, okay, the capital I had on Robinhood, Interactive Broker account, which I just used for options, like very speculative stuff. I said, okay, let's turn everything to Palantir and let's see if it works.
No, that's a good point. Look, if we don't get in, guys, I mean, we don't lose, right? This is eventually going to happen. It's just going to take some time. And it gives us more time to accumulate, right? Oh, there's like, to me, there's a win-win. Like if we don't get in, we have some more time and the story keeps going. If we do get in, then great. But
I see some
it's guaranteed.
It uploaded a page of a website. Not sure it is the right one.
I don't see it.
I think we have it.
Okay, let me know if you see anything.
See.
Twitter, I've got nothing. Website's very slow.
No, S&P TX.
Dude, Dave says SMCI got it. If anyone has a link, please send it in the chat. If anyone has a link, let us know in the chat.
MicroStrategy.
They were on the list. If they got in, if you see them, they might.
Yes, a super microcomputer. and Hector Outdoor set to join S&P 500, and we don't see any Palantir. I'll share you the screen.
Yeah, share your screen. Share your screen. All right, folks. So there we go. We got it. Super Microcomputer and Deckers Outdoor set to join S&P 500. And you see no Palantir there, right, Arnie? There's nothing there about Palantir.
Yes, no PLTR. Let's have a look
we
here,
did not get in, folks. 24/78 after hours. You guys can go to sleep now. It's okay.
Okay. I'll sleep well in any way, but you see, let's have a sense. Micro strategy. No, how it's called? Super
SMCI, Super Micro
Microcomputer stock.
Well,
that's 1%.
The story will be more fun over the next 3 months. So
another time.
What is Deckers Outdoor? I feel like I know that company's Deckers Outdoor Corporation.
In these cases, I really wonder what happened or why. Because, for instance, this super microcomputer is 50 billion market cap, so it's exactly like Palantir, and it's like okay, they just wanted to have like some crypto in the index. No, not some crypto, some AI chips.
Let's look at the institutional ownership of Supermicro as well. Institutional ownership.
Can you see that?
Yeah, let me pull it up. Institutional ownership of Supermicro is... Oh, wow. I think it's pretty heavy. It's almost like, dude, it's like 80% almost, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, it's a lot. And so that's another thing we know the S&P cares about a lot. If Palantir had joined, they would have been the second lowest institutional ownership inside of the entire 500 companies.
There is this paradox. The S&P 500 inclusion actually helps increasing the institutional ownership, but in order to get in, they already want you to have a high institutional ownership.
Right.
That makes no sense.
Yeah, it seems like there it is. Decker, this is the website for those that don't know what Deckers is. It is a shoe company there. They got into Can you check Deckers stock price, Arnie?
Yeah.
What is this ticker? Deckers clothing. Deckers stock. This is a $23 billion company. Wow. Let me share this tab.
I actually checked. Well, this one is up 1%. So you see, it impacts is not wow. But I think in the case of Palantir, since it is very followed, the reaction would have not been 1%. That's why I thought, okay, it could be an asymmetrical position. But what's interesting is that in this press release, you see the different layers of S&P 400. And then there was like the S&P 100 for Intuit, so massive. And the lowest market cap in the S&P 500 are around $10 billion. So I struggle to understand the reasoning of why should you keep companies that are around 10 billion and not including Palantir, which is 50 billion.
Yeah, I think so. So your argument is that they're picking a lot of these companies that don't really have the market cap that Palantir has, but they essentially they have some other part of them that makes them intriguing to the committee.
The committee, from what I understood, needs to have always a balance in terms of the index to somehow reflect the underlying economy. So that's why you have the committee and you don't just have an algo taking the top 500 market cap.
Yeah, I guess that's the reason. So
maybe the fact that the S&P 500 is already super heavily, very heavily weighted on tech doesn't go in favor of Palantir because they say, oh, come on, we can't really add another tech.
Well, so the companies that were replaced were Whirlpool, which makes like dishwashers and stuff.
Yes.
And Zion's Bank. That's a regional bank, guys, that I guess they regionals have been under a heavy amount of pressure. NYCB is not helping the regionals right now. So a bank and essentially a manufacturer got kicked out for a shoe brand and for an AI tech play, SMCI.
So maybe since they already had one AI play, they said, okay, let's keep only one so that we have a second round with Palantir.
I mean, yeah, it's down 2% dude, after hours. It's down 2%. It got hit.
Oh,
it got hit after hours. The street definitely. So the people that were buying options today at those outsized levels, they were gambling. They were straight up. It's not like they had any inside information. I mean, they were literally taking a lotto ticket that this thing would go up if it got included.
I think the bet made sense. I think there was an information asymmetry between what we knew. Okay, this could happen on a Friday versus what on average, like broadly speaking, people saw. Like I haven't seen any article of Palantir could actually join the S&P 500 in the recent
right. There was no media coverage around this, right? It was
exactly.
kind of
so that's why I thought, okay, there's an asymmetry. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, okay, fine.
Right. Well,
I would say see you in a couple of hours. Unfortunately, not with good news, but we can neither say with a bad news.
All right. We'll see you then, Arnie. Arnie will be on Palantir Weekly. He's got to get some sleep, but we'll be here 10 p.m., folks, or 11 p.m. Eastern. Let me put Arnie's Twitter in the chat. If anyone here is not following Arnie on Twitter, he is the second cult leader with me around Palantir. So please make sure.
Second time.
Please make sure to follow him as well on Twitter. Get all your Palantir updates and PalantirBullets.com. I'm putting that in the chat. That is his newsletter. So please make sure to subscribe to PalantirBullets.com for his newsletter. MicroStrategy did not make it. SMCI and Deckers did.
Thank you so much, guys, and see you.
Thanks for joining, Arnie. We'll see you in a couple hours. Bye. All right, so that's it. It is what it is. Where's the stock right now? How bad is it? How bad is this, dude? I didn't know it would tank after hours. Ooh, 2.25%. Look, it's not a big deal. 24.37. The thing's up from 16. So like it's not crazy. But it is down. If you had covered calls, you're safe. Yo, I'm sure some people are in the chat right now that sold those damn 26 covered calls, and you guys were sweating bullets on this S&P. Don't act like you weren't. Where's that meme? Let me get it right now. This is what everyone was like in the chat. This is what people were like that had $26 covered calls. This is what you guys were like right here. This was you, all of you. All of you are like, damn it, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but I really hope they don't get into the S&P. All of you guys, all of you. That's hilarious. That's great. That's so funny. That's so funny. Well, your covered calls are safe. Christian Soda says, I bought $26 contracts for Friday for 800, took the small loss on Monday when I sell it back for the L, asymmetric bet. Yeah, I mean, look, if it went to 26, it would have done well. So it's a small little bet. But if you sold those shares and they got called away from you at 26 and you have like a $15, $14 average, and this company might be $250 one day and we might never see below 20 again, and you got your shares called away for what? 2% premium in a week? Was 2% worth it? Was it worth it? I don't know. Look, I'm not against covered calls or anything. I'm just having fun here. But these are the pieces of news that can really it can move the market, obviously. But you're safe if you sold those calls. Now, if you bought the calls, you're gonna have to take an L. But if you sold those calls, you are safe. Palantir's down 3% now. Damn, dude. 3.2%. The market said you're not getting into the S&P. All right. You know you can roll it, right? Yeah, that's correct. You can roll it. That is true. You're not going to get all the premium. So yeah, I mean, you could roll out of it. It's not the worst thing in the world. But still, if you don't know how to roll, or if you don't do rolls, you would be sweating. You would be sweating. What are the next inclusions date? I think the next one is June. So we've got a long time to wait. And we'll be waiting for the next 3 months. Now down 3.3%, dude. The street really doesn't like it. They're taking away all the gains we got this week for one S&P thing, dude. All the gains we got this week, the street's like, nope, it's going away. It's going away. That's wild, dude. That is wild. So there you go. For those that are just joining, SMCI and Deckers, those are the companies that made it. SMCI, yeah, no cowbell moment today. No cowbell moment. Look, to me, if we get back down to 22.21, I bought 100 shares at 22.89 like a week ago. If we get back down to those levels, to me, it's just a buying opportunity. At this point, I think it's pretty obvious what's happening, and eventually we will see it happen. But look, this also means institutions have a better chance to load the boat because they can buy more, right? So it gives them more opportunity to build up their institutional ownership. We're getting to levels we were about a week ago. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. I mean, nothing has changed. Yeah, I'm not sad about this at all. I feel sad that all of us came together for this momentous occasion, even though we all kind of knew it was a long shot. But that just shows you how cool the community is, dude. All fucking 2,000 of us were like, nope, we're gonna make it a big deal, even though it's probably not happening. We're gonna fucking do it. And yeah, it didn't happen. So it is what it is. Tired Gang, do we know if Palantir got in or not? Sorry, just joined. They did not get in. I just posted my Twitter update. Let me put my Twitter in the chat again for you guys to follow along for Palantir updates. Palantir did not make it. Deckers and SMCI did. Deckers and SMCI. Toots get to load more, play the game. I don't even know what the committee looks at to make these decisions. Again, it's kind of this random committee. I don't even know who's on the committee. I've tried to find out. I couldn't find it. But whatever they look at, Palantir was not part of their conclusion for deciding. And so we're going to have to wait. Continue to wait. All right. I think that's it for us, folks. Thank you all for joining. This has been a fun day, a fun stream. If you guys missed the market open, I did make an announcement that I've invested in a new company called Figure.ai, private company that is raised about $675 million. So super fun day. Got to make that announcement. 2 big announcements left in March. One is the software I am launching for Palantir. It will cost $42.69 per year to access it. I think a lot of the people that care about Palantir, it's going to be pretty cheap for a whole year of access to it for $40. And I think you guys are getting a lot of value from that. So I'll be presenting that on March 8th. That will be launching, and I think you will enjoy it. And then number 2, the interview I said I'm having with somebody, that's going to be happening at the end of March. And so at the end of March, it'll be a fun interview that'll be launching on the channel. But outside of that, that's it. It's been a fun week in the markets. Last week of earnings. I believe there's maybe a couple more companies reporting next week, but we're pretty much done for earnings. It's been a hell of a month. Big tech pretty much crushed it. Nvidia crushed it. Palantir absolutely smashed earnings. Like they demolished their earnings. And as a result of that, more people know about Palantir. More people care about Palantir. More people are on Palantir's radar. And our Palantir's on more people's radar. And I think eventually that's going to lead to hopefully a very exciting run for Palantir in the rest of the year. Does Figure get in the S&P 500 before Palantir? I hope that doesn't happen. I hope we get in by the end of this year. And one day, hopefully, Figure gets in as well. Amit, we need the leather jacket for the next announcement. I got it. Leather jacket for the next announcement. Got it. Will do. Will do. All right. That's it. Super fun. Enjoyed it. It's been a fun week. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you for everybody who was on the Market Open stream. It was really fun. Had a lot of feedback, and it was super fun to embrace this journey. Palantir Weekly will be out tonight, 11 p.m. I'll be live with Arnie. We'll discuss all this stuff, and then we'll keep going from there and see what we have to do. Palantir ending the day right now, 24.29, down about 2.8% today. All right, folks, have a good day. I will see you. If I don't see you Monday for the Market Open, 8:45 a.m., and if I do see you tonight, 11 p.m. for Palantir Weekly. That's it. Thank you, everybody. Love all you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for being here. Best community in the world, covering, I think, one of the best and most exciting companies on the planet. And it's going to be fun to keep covering this journey as it plays out. Look at Connor. Connor just joined the stream. Did we get it? No, Connor. Unfortunately, we did not get it. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one. I will see you guys later tonight or on Monday morning. Have a good one. Good night.